Have you ever wondered how the world's biggest singers can hit those incredible notes night after night on a grueling tour? Well, we're going to dive into the work of Valerie Morehouse. She's a vocal coach who works on the front lines of the music industry, and her guide, A Better Voice, isn't just theory. It's a real-world toolkit forged from decades of fixing some of the most famous voices on the planet. And look, the results, they really speak for themselves. When an artist like Sam Smith says this knowledge changed not just their career, but their life, you know it's got to be transformative. So that's what we're here to uncover, the secrets to unlocking the full power of your own voice. So where does this method even come from? Well, it all starts with changing how you think about your voice. It's not just something you have. It's a complex, high-performance instrument. And just like any instrument, it can break. And that's exactly what happened to Valerie Morehouse herself. Her story of vocal ruin is actually the key to this whole thing. I mean, this timeline just shows you how fast a dream can completely fall apart. In high school, Valerie was a vocal powerhouse. By 18, she's fronting a rock band, feeling totally unstoppable. She gets the call. An A&R scout from Warner Music wants to talk about a record deal. And then, just days later, it's all gone. A diagnosis of vocal nodules, and that deal just vanishes into thin air. The doctor's advice? 2 months of total silence. Can you imagine? For a singer, that's the ultimate nightmare. But that devastating moment, that's what became her life's work. She wasn't just trying to get her own voice back. She was determined to figure out how this instrument truly works. So, what did she discover in all that silence? This, right here. This is the core revelation of her entire method. We tend to treat a great voice like it's some kind of magic, but Morehouse says no. Your voice isn't magic, it's a machine. A biological machine that you can actually understand, diagnose, and even repair. I absolutely love this analogy. It's like being handed the keys to a Ferrari, but you only know how to drive in first gear. Yeah, you can make it go, but you have no idea how to access its real power. The goal here is to learn how to use that gear shift so all that power feels completely effortless. And to get a handle on that machine, we need a new term, the SPA, or Sound Producing Anatomy. This is what Morehouse calls the entire system. It's not just your throat, it's all the parts of your body that have to work together to create sound. And understanding this system, well, that's the very first step toward gaining real control. And don't worry, you don't need a medical degree for this. Morehouse boils the whole SPA down to 3 critical components for us to focus on: the 3 vocal chambers, the vocal cords themselves, and the larynx, which you probably know as the voice box. These are the main parts of our vocal engine. Okay, so these chambers, think of them as your vocal gears. You definitely know your chest voice. That's the deep, powerful register you speak in. And you probably know your head voice, that lighter, higher sound. But the secret weapon, the gear most people miss, is the mix voice. It's the smooth connection between the other two, and it's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Most singers have no idea how to find it, and that's where all the strain and damage comes from. And listen, this isn't just for beginners. Morehouse tells his story about working with G, a massive, world-famous pop star, who was physically unable to sing her own hit songs on tour. And what was the problem? She was dragging her chest voice way too high, literally choking the sound. All because she had never learned how to connect to her mix. It just goes to show you, this stuff is fundamental, no matter how famous you are. Okay, so if the voice is a machine, what happens when it's not working right? Well, you get glitches. This next step is all about diagnostics. According to Morehouse, most of us have a primary vocal personality, which is just our default way of dealing with a difficult note, and it's almost always the wrong way. The 2 main tendencies are type A, the pusher, and type B, the breathy. The pusher, well, they use way too much muscle and force, straining to get through those tough notes. You can picture it, right? The veins popping in their neck. The breathy singer does the total opposite. They back off, they disengage. They use too much air, and that leads to this weak, unsupported sound. So take a second. Which one sounds more like you? When a note gets tough, is your go-to move to push and strain, or do you kind of pull back and let it get all airy? Just knowing your default tendency is the first step to fixing the glitch. All right, so you've diagnosed your glitch. Now what? Now it's time to fix it. This is the fun part, the toolkit. These are the actual exercises Morehouse uses to reprogram that vocal machine. So let's take a real-world example. Artist G, the frontman for a huge rock band, came to Morehouse with a classic pusher problem. He was just muscling his way through the chorus of a new song, and it was causing his larynx to rise up and basically choke the sound off. That one part of the song felt physically impossible for him to sing. So how do you fix a chorus that feels impossible? With a tool that is so simple, you're not going to believe it. The bub exercise. You start by taking out the lyrics and just singing the melody on the sound bub. For whatever reason, that one sound naturally encourages the larynx to lower and release all that tension. Then, once that feels easy, you start to bring the words back in, but with a little secret modification. And that modification is the real secret weapon, changing the vowel sound. So for him, the lyric, "I tried so hard" with that wide ah sound was causing all the trouble. So they changed it to, "I tried so hud." The audience can't hear the difference, but that tiny change keeps the larynx neutral. In the end becomes in the und. It's basically a vocal cheat code that completely changes the physical experience of singing. And that is the power of this technique. A phrase that felt impossible for a world-class rock star suddenly became, in his words, free and easy. The lesson here? It's not about singing harder. It's about singing smarter. But here's the thing. Mastering all the physical technique, that's actually not the final goal. There's one last piece to this puzzle, and honestly, it might be the most important one of all. Because true vocal freedom isn't just about muscle, it's about your mind. So what's the whole point of this? It's to find the one singular voice that belongs only to you. The book calls it your true voice. It's the sound you make when you stop trying to sound like someone else. The goal is to unlock your authentic instrument, not just copy somebody else's. So why is that so hard for us? Because the biggest roadblocks holding us back aren't physical at all. They're emotional. We're talking about performance anxiety, crippling self-doubt, the pressure to be perfect, that fear of becoming obsolete. And these aren't just feelings. They create real physical tension in your voice, sometimes leading to issues like vocal dysphonia, where the vocal cords just stop coordinating correctly. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. The reason to learn all this technique, to understand your SPA, to fix your glitches, it's not just so you can hit a perfect high note. It's to clear the path so you can use your voice for what it's really for, to connect with people, to express yourself, and to share your authentic story with the world. Which brings us to the final question. This whole journey is about moving from mystery to understanding. It's about going from being a victim of your own voice to being its master. So now that you have the blueprint for how your voice actually works, the real question isn't just, can you sing better? It's, are you ready to use that power to tell your truth?